little more because they thought, they would be protected.
Well, they all think
we're going to show you.
Yeah, they all think they have qualified immunity, but when they're acting on their own, their qualified immunity is gone.
And then you're also demanding a written copy from the Constitution giving you any jurisdiction over me personally. See, China did these lockdowns, and I mean, they would lock houses from the outside. Some people died in their homes because they wouldn't let them out. They had no food. But here in this country, unlike any other country in the world, we are free. The government does not own us here. They are servants to us. Everyone listening to this program, you're the boss here. We have 250 million bosses here. And there's just a few servants running around that think they now are king. And Governor Newsom's one of them. And Governor Whitmer of Michigan is just awful.
And several others.
And, I was surprised to hear, I mean, I keep saying this, but that Governor Newsom here is not the worst one out there, but he's pretty bad. And anyway, you're going to sign this. You don't have to sign it. You can make it more generic where you just hand it out to them. You can sign it, and then it will, with your name on it, you can say, this citizen representing the courtesy warning to public officials is claiming all constitutional rights and not volunteering for anything. Now, you're putting them on notice. I mean, that's the whole point of the constructive notice. Because a lot of Americans are very weak in the knowledge of the Constitution, and they think that the government can do anything. I think the schools probably teach that today, which is pretty sad. And President Trump said he's going to do something about that. We'll have to see what he does. But here's where the law comes in. And we're talking about, this is U.S. federal law, but it applies to state officers, which is pretty interesting. The U.S. Criminal Code, Title 18, Chapter 13, Section 241, 242, make it a felony to use, conspire, to use color of law to enforce a code or regulation which results in the violation of a person's rights. Violators will be prosecuted. Now, this is interesting. One of our members was in Berkeley, California, of all the liberal places to be, and he was reading. He read this section to an officer out his window in the car, and he was arrested for threatening that officer. Well, you cannot be. It's not a threat when you're reading the law. You just tell him this is what's going to happen to you under the law. And the officer had to let him go a little while later because he didn't know what the law was. That's the problem with some of our law enforcement, so-called. But anyway, Section 241 is conspiracy against the rights of a citizen. And so if two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to him by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of him having exercised the same, or if two or more persons go in disguise on the highway or on the premises of another with the intent to prevent or hinder his free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege, so secured they shall be fined not more than $10,000, imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both, and if death results, they shall be subject to imprisonment for any term of years or for life. Now, this is pretty serious, and there is no question to me, from day one, these constitutions have been happening. If the lockdowns are unconstitutional today, they were unconstitutional on the first day. Even the court decisions we're getting talk about emergency powers lasting 30 days or 60 days, but the emergency powers will set aside statutes, it'll set aside state laws, it'll set aside regulations in the state, that kind of thing, but it never, ever, and we can't find anything here in California, and probably true in all states, the emergency powers does not set aside in any way the Constitution of the United States or our individual constitutional rights.
That's correct, Steve. You are right on point. And there's more to this thing. This constructive notice is actually, we're going to take a break here because we got the drums in my ears. So, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Stay on the TV because we have more to come and to enlighten you and help you on with your life in this treacherous country we're living in today. Mr. Engineer, take it away.
When farmers are ready to harvest a crop, there's one person they call, the farm labor contractor. They arrange for field workers to get that crop to your dinner table. These contractors are experts in food safety and are charged with making sure you receive only the best produce. As the crop is being harvested, they ensure workers have fresh water, breaks, and even transportation. The California Association of Agricultural Labor is proud to represent California's farm labor contractors. Our members put quality first, so you can enjoy savory produce that's truly Valley delicious.
You can shut down the country.
Some people in some states protesting stay-at-home orders.
But you can't shut down politics.
We believe that there's been an overreaction to the close down.
Talk Radio 1550. KXEX.
I want you to think about someone that was there for you, someone that made you feel special and made a difference in your life as a child. We have hundreds of children on the waiting list, patiently waiting for a mentor. Can that be you? If so, please visit our website at bigs.org, bigs.org. Thank you.
The following statements may be disturbing or offensive for some audiences. Life begins at the very moment of conception. Every single life is priceless. Mankind is created in the very image of God. I know that the aforementioned statements did not offend you. At least I hope not. But for many in our culture today, they are sadly offensive. I believe that every life conceived should have every opportunity to reach its full potential.
I'm a busy single mom, and the flexibility of app-based driving works for my family. I could go out there and make money, and I can still see my daughter. The Sacramento politicians passed a new law making it illegal to work as independent contractors. And that's going to force the shutdown of app-based services here. We need Prop 22. 22 protects our work as independent contractors. It will save hundreds of thousands of jobs. Please vote yes on 22.
Welcome back to Personalities in the News. We will now continue with talking points on these topics. Actually, we're working with Steve Hempling, Director of the Free Enterprise Society, and myself. And you can call in your questions at 559-899-1550. That's Talk Radio KXEX 1550 with your questions and comments. And we look forward to those. The only comment I'm going to make before you start again, Steve, is if we wish to challenge the government, we should and have to do it in a lawful and legal and constitutional fashion. And that's how this constructive notice was put together, and that's how I did mine, and this is how some other people are doing theirs. And we have a leg to stand on because we aren't rioting. We are peacefully assembling, and we are presenting them with the redress of grievance and the action that they need to take. That's a whole different ballgame, Steve.
Well, yes, there's no question that we're doing it in a lawful fashion. Santa Cruz is proof of that. They did it the right way. They served the mayor and all the city and the police and the sheriff, and there was no confrontation as a result of it. The police just left because I don't think the police liked it anyway. And out of 58 sheriffs here in California, I know 40 of them already are really against Governor Newsom on this lockdown pretty much from the beginning. And so there's a lot happening behind the scenes and a lot of fighting going on. Even in the state legislature are upset with Governor Newsom here, at least a lot of them I understand. But he's just being a tyrant. So if we continue on down this notice, and by the way, you don't have to, it's good to serve people that have been violating your rights or you think they will violate your rights. But, we've been in this so far along that if you're in business or something, you probably have been violated already or affected. I mean, almost everybody's been affected by this. It's good to serve them, and you want to serve them if you can, but it doesn't, if you serve them even after a violation, it's okay. That's fine. So you just want to try to get this in there. We need to educate these servants And one way to educate them is these notices. A second way is actually follow through with a lawsuit. I know not everyone is going to do that, but those that do, I think, are going to make these servants very uncomfortable because they really don't have a leg to stand on in a free country. So we go to we did section 241, 242, and this some of you may think this is boring, but the penalties here apply to your mayor, to the county code enforcers that came out and harassed you. It applies to the police if they block you from a beach or something that's lawfully available to the public. It applies to the governor or anybody who is involved with supporting these lockdowns or anything that's hurt you in regards to that. And these penalties apply to them. Section 242 it says this: the deprivation of rights under the color of law. Color of law is when you look, you got a badge or something, you look like you can do it, but you're doing things outside your authority, which I can guarantee a lot of people do things under the color of law that are not lawful. Now, this is what it says: whoever under color of law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom willfully subjects any inhabitant of any state, territory, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured by protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or to different punishments, pains, and penalties on account of such inhabited being an alien, or by reason of his color, race, are prescribed for the punishment of citizens, shall be fined not more than $1,000 and imprisoned not more than 1 year, or both, and if death results, shall be result in imprisonment for a term of years or life. And there's another section we're going to go to, Title 42 now. From that, the other two were 18. Title 42 is another important section. In Section 1983, when two or more persons conspire to use force, intimidation, or threat, or to injure a person and to deprive them of their rights and privileges as the United States citizen, the party injured may have an action for the recovery of damages occasioned by such injury or deprivation against anyone or more of the conspirators. There's no question these are one or more. I mean, you don't have to. You got the mayor, you got the governor, you've got the maybe the police chief there in Fresno. I don't know wherever you are. You got more than one person involved with this because
Health
if
Department,
the governor's barking. Go ahead.
Yeah, Health Department, code enforcement inspectors. It goes right on down the line. They're all covered under this. And one more thing before you carry on. This is a two-step process. The one we're going over now is the one that you hand out to people, and they're been put under notice. Now, if you get violated after that, and they've been noticed, they know they broke the law or should have known. So then you file legally with a process server a lawsuit in federal court, not local court. It's got to be federal court, and then you get together and draw up. If you're you can do that, or you can hire an attorney and go forth with the lawsuit. But they're still prohibited from bringing in the state money and for protection. Steve, you got it.
Yeah, and we're hoping to maybe have some sample lawsuits when people actually start doing some of these things. We'll have some samples up there that can be used. Because a lot of you, I think for a lot of people, if you get the thing filed, one way or another, it's going to freak these people out terribly, and then you may win by default. That's happened before because they're going to be too scared. They have to pay for an attorney now. They got to pay thousands of dollars to defend themselves against you. That's not why they signed up for. So let's go into some court cases. We have some very good ones here over the years to higher courts. So we got Harlow versus Fitzgerald, 1982 case. It is a U.S. Supreme Court case, even, and the Supreme Court case is, it's pretty useful in any court in this land, and has not been overturned. But this is what they stated in the Supreme Court: we therefore hold that the government officials performing discretionary functions generally are shielded from liability. So that's what a lot of people think, and it's true, but it continues on. For civil damage insofar as their conduct does not violate clearly established statutory or constitutional rights, which these lockdowns clearly did, of which a reasonable person would have known. So they continue on here. A reasonable competent public official should know the laws governing his conduct. In other words, Governor Newsom is supposed to know what law he has. Now, he probably has an attorney general I don't know his name here in California. It doesn't come to mind, but he's probably been told by the Attorney General, yeah, you can do this, you can do that, because he's one of those attorneys that think they can do anything as well. A lot of our elected people here and appointed people aren't too what's the word?
Cognizant.
Too enthused with the Constitution wording itself, which is what I am really enthused by because it's very good for us. Anyway, and then it goes on, and one more quote from it. By defining the limits of qualified immunity, essential and objective terms, we provide no license or lawless conduct. So I think a lot of these governors, I don't want them to get away with this at all. These governors, mayors, and a lot of people, I don't care how long it takes. I think many of them should be prosecuted to some extent and be held, to jail time. I mean, the Governor Newsom, you figure he has cost people billions of dollars. I don't know how many thousands of people lost everything they had through this lockdown with businesses closures and stuff.
Yeah, including someone lost their life through various means.
Well, you lose your life by there's a lot of reasons for that, but there's other things that happen, other consequences. Now, there's another case here, Dole versus Wilson. It's a 1982 case, also. And it says any person who's found violating the rights of a citizen may be subject to the damages sustained by that individual and the cost of the action together with attorney fees. So even if you have an attorney and you bring these guys in, if you win, which you should, you would get your money back. Now, violation of 18 U.S.C. 241, 242 is they're naming the things, or Title 42, 1983, which we already covered. And 1985 and 1986, we didn't cover all those sections, shall subject you, they're talking to the public official, you personally, and may also subject you to fines up to $10,000 and imprisonment for up to 10 years or both. This is important where it says that they subject you personally. That means, if you sue, for example, you sue the governor of California, say, and your heading says, Governor Newsom, Governor of California, you're suing him in his official capacity, and the Attorney General and all the taxpayer dollars of California, which I don't know how many are left, would come to the defense of the governor. Now, if you sue Governor Newsom by just saying I am suing Gavin Newsom, not mentioning the governor position or anything like, you're suing him personally, and you would even say that in there. Governor Newsom cannot go to the Attorney General and have them defend him, and he may try to do that. He may even do it, but that's another violation that's occurring. But as we get these things worked out, the people really have the power here, and they are. I'm disappointed in a lot of ways with how much what the wording is. Like the mask mandates and stuff. Very very little pushback from the American people on some of these things. Which these are unprecedented things in a free country, and they just should not be happening. They are testing the waters to see how obedient Americans are going to be under the new communism if they ever get it put in here. And I'm thinking they seem to be pretty obedient, which because there's no science settled on any of this. Anybody that looks under the covers even a little bit finds out that the use of masks don't apparently do anything. The World Health Organization just recently, even them, they came out and said lockdowns is not a very good way to handle this pandemic, and which is surprising to me, but they did. But suing them personally, and you can get $10,000 or 10 years. When a few of these servants go to jail, and it doesn't have to be everyone in the country, but I think everyone that did damage should go.
We have Steve from Illinois on the line.
Okay, Steve, we have a caller on the line. Steve from Illinois. We've got about maybe a minute before we get signal for a break. Steve, are you there? Steve from Illinois, are you on? I guess he's not on.
Okay. Keep on.
Well,
maybe he'll call back. Maybe he'll call back here, and we can get him on after break.
Yep. Okay, well,
anyway,
go ahead, Steve.
Well, the Supreme Court outlined the contours of qualified immunity, and I just don't think they have it. And I wish every governor that did these lockdowns would go to jail. That's probably not going to happen. We may not get any of them, but we've got to try to get some of them or mayors or someone else to put in jail here, and that will make the public servants a lot more careful in the future. I mean, if they have no accountability for hurting people and damaging people and taking making people lose everything over a hoax and over an order that has no authority. I mean, you go to these stores and said, by order of California government, you have to wear a mask in here. It could say, if it said, by order of Bozo the Clown, you have to wear a mask in here. How many people would pay attention to that? I guess a lot.
A lot.
Because he has no more authority. Bozo has no more authority than Governor Newsom when it comes to this with American free people. I think they just forgot they're free.
Okay, well, Steve will be getting back to this. We can go back into my particular episode with this if we want after the break, which we should be getting a signal here shortly. And we can explain to the people how I did mine and what the outcome was. And let me tell you, it was kind of fun and educational. And this whole constructive notice that we are using now was the start of the design of it, was done back about 20 years ago when I got attacked by a state of California agency. So that's that. Steve, you want to comment on anything until we get a signal for the break?
Well, these notices can also be given, like say, to the county enforcers, county code enforcers and stuff. The thing is, you go to school or whatever it is for your profession, you pay a license fee, a license to do something with the city or county, and they're giving you permission to open a shop and have a business there, under certain whatever conditions they have. That it is, which is fine. But now they're closing you down. It is that same entity you got a license from is closing you. Now they're in breach of contract. And I think people should start seriously looking at the licensing issue and say, because that's all they have. That's all Governor Newsom has. He is blackmailing these businesses. They want to take your license. And I'm kind of thinking, well, okay, quit talking and do it, because I don't know if you can enforce the license on a lot of these businesses. A license defined is something to do something that is otherwise illegal. And working and providing for your family is not illegal.
Okay.
James Bond might need a license.
Now we've got the signal for a break. Then we can, when we get back, we can go into my short episode, and then we can go into a whole lot of the other issues that we've brought up. Mr. Engineer, take it away. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall return.
When farmers are ready to harvest a crop, there's one person they call, the farm labor contractor. They arrange for field workers to get that crop to your dinner table. These contractors are experts in food safety and are charged with making sure you receive only the best produce. As the crop is being harvested, they ensure workers have fresh water, breaks, and even transportation. The California Association of Agricultural Labor is proud to represent California's farm labor contractors. Our members put quality first, so you can enjoy savory produce that's truly Valley delicious.
You can shut down the country.
Some people in some states protesting stay-at-home orders.
But you can't shut down politics.
We believe that there's been an overreaction to the close down.
Talk Radio 1550. KXEX.
I want you to think about someone that was there for you. Someone that made you feel special. They made a difference in your life as a child. We have hundreds of children on the waiting list, patiently waiting for a mentor. Can that be you? If so, please visit our website at bigs.org, bigs.org. Thank you.
The following statements may be disturbing or offensive for some audiences. Life begins at the very moment of conception. Every single life is priceless. Mankind is created in the very image of God. I know that the aforementioned statements did not offend you. At least I hope not. But for many in our culture today, they are sadly offensive. I believe that every life conceived should have every opportunity to reach its full potential.
I'm a busy single mom, and the flexibility of app-based driving works for my family. I could go out there and make money, and I could still see my daughter. The Sacramento politicians passed a new law making it illegal to work as independent contractors. And that's going to force the shutdown of app-based services here. We need Prop 22. 22 protects our work as independent contractors. It will save hundreds of thousands of jobs. Please vote yes on 22.
When
We had the phones off.
You got too many buttons and knobs.
Yeah, really.
Welcome back to Personalities in the News. This is Truman Sigler, along with co-host Steve Hempling from the Free Enterprise Society. And we'll continue on with our talking points. Right now, we're still on the constitutional issue and the constructive notice. And Steve, I will return it back to you and let you lead on from here.
Well, I'll get to that, but we do have some comments here on Facebook.
Good.
We've got Daryl. It says, America, corruption is exposed that was sitting in high places in American politics. Greed for power. We, the people of the United States of America, don't and won't to play in no way. In America question, has Joe Biden been compromised? Yeah, well, I think he's talking about Joe Biden. I mean, we were talking about that earlier. I mean, him and Hunter.
Steve on line one.
All these emails are coming out, and Joe Biden. I think we could change the dictionaries under the word corruption and put Joe Biden's name in there now. I mean, he's the definition of corruption in Washington. He's part of the swamp.
Yeah.
And
Steve, we got someone online. I am going to ask that person to come online and introduce yourself and ask the question. Hello, are you there?
Yes, this is Steve from Illinois.
Hi, Steve. Truman
all right.
here.
Hey, we
Third
got
time's
through.
charm.
Yes. Yeah. You were talking about the Title 18s and Title 42s and stuff. Totally agree with you. But what's not being done is when these guys break their oath, breach their oath, and violate Title 18 or Title 42, there's nothing that we can really do because everything is set in play for them to bring all these charges up.
Well, I disagree with that, and we'll talk about it when you're done.
Oh, okay. Well, no. The reason I'm saying this is we know that these governors and mayors and stuff are breaching their oath. They're violating the Constitution. We know this. But there's nothing in the state constitution that has the penalties for when they do that. They give an oath, but that's all they give. I give an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. What should be added to all these oaths that if I violate my oath to uphold and defend the Constitution and to protect the rights of the people, that I would be subject to criminal penalties.
Steve?
As it is right now, there's nobody doing nothing about a breach of oath. They'll just laugh at you.
Yeah. Steve?
I agree, but the founders were not stupid people. They put in the oath, and they expected to. It's pretty obvious that if you don't follow the oath, there's going to be consequences. But since today they violate, they just turn everything and try to twist everything around. I kind of agree with Steve that we should have, even in the federal Constitution, of a mandatory penalty for violating the oath, because when we lie to government, like on a tax return or whatever, that is a serious felony. Serious. I mean, you can go to jail, you can get steak and stuff. But if the government lies to us, which they do pretty much every time they talk to us these days, that's not even a crime. And to me, that would be 10 times more the crime. And they should not only lose their position, they should lose their property, they should lose their freedom, because to do that in a public position is worse than a good, honest, house burglar or something.
And that's why I say in the oath, that should be put in there that they will be subject to criminal prosecution.
They are subject to criminal prosecution if you can get a prosecutor to do it. This is why
Exactly.
this is why the RICO statutes exist. Therefore, we the people can go after them directly as an individual. The government can't come in and defend them. Now, in my case, they arrested me a couple times for the issue that I was going on with, and I played attorney myself in two matters, and then I said enough of this stuff because the judge found me guilty anyway. So I dug up the RICO statutes, wrote up basically the constructive notice, and sued them as individuals. Guess what? I had them sued professionally. They did not answer the complaint. They went screaming to the Attorney General of California and said, "You have to help us because we work for you." The Attorney General at that time told them they did not sue us. They sued you in federal court. The state has nothing to do with it. You are on your own. They wound up.
But how many people?
They wound up. They wound
do
up.
what you did.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
That's what we got to look at, is because like in our state constitution here in Illinois, they tell us we have a right to apply for redress of grievance.
Don't
we
go
get to
through
apply for it.
Don't go through the state.
You know?
Go through the federal statutes. That's where the muscle is. The states aren't going to do
I
anything
agree.
for you. You go use
I totally agree.
Then use this.
These are civil statutes. These are civil statutes with criminal penalties. You can bring a lawsuit. You don't even need an attorney to do it, although we don't have sample lawsuits for you to use yet, but I'm hopeful we will. Or if any of you out there are using this, with it, even if an attorney's writing it for you or you're a paralegal. I did get contacted by a paralegal. I'll be talking to him here next week. I mean, this is the kind of thing we're going to be putting together because you got to pay the filing fee. And on these kind of civil rights, when you deal with some of these things, you really can't be held for costs, as far as I know. And generally, even if you lose the case, they can't come back against you and charge you $40,000 for them defending it either.
Well, when you're talking about cost me $115 to file my action in federal court, and they never answered the complaint. They went to the state. The state said they didn't sue us. They sued you. You're on your own. And they and I won by default. And I didn't have to go to court. And this will probably happen in most of the cases because once they violate you and you've noticed them beforehand, they don't have a leg to stand on. But you got to do it.
Well, yeah, you mentioned about all these people that have lost their jobs and everything from these governors' shutdowns and all this other stuff. Well, there is a remedy for all these businesses that lost their money. It's just that you got to get somebody who's going to represent you, because these people that have restaurants and everything else, they can't do this stuff. We've got to get a network of lawyers in the states here that we can contact when we've got problems going on, such as these governors shutting the states down. And that's about the only way I can think of something really getting done, is if we've got some lawyers that are going to devote their time to help remedy what's going on here. It's an injustice left and right.
Let me tell you why that won't work. Because the lawyers are working for the courts. They're not going to go in there and go against the courts and then go about their regular lawful business, defending people on other matters in front of the same judge. Wake up. It's not going to work. You got to go after them personally.
I certainly agree with you.
Okay. Then don't go down that street.
I agree.
Well,
we've got to be able to get some of these good lawyers to step up. We've got a couple here in Illinois that are stepping up.
We've got a caller coming in on that signal for the break. Actually,
okay.
Engineer, take it away, and we'll save our time for discussion.
All right.
When farmers are ready to harvest a crop, there's one person they call, the farm labor contractor. They arrange for field workers to get that crop to your dinner table. These contractors are experts in food safety and are charged with making sure you receive only the best produce. As the crop is being harvested, they ensure workers have fresh water, breaks, and even transportation. The California Association of Agricultural Labor is proud to represent California's farm labor contractors. Our members put quality first, so you can enjoy savory produce that's truly Valley delicious.
You can shut down the country,
Some people in some states protesting stay-at-home orders.
but you can't shut down politics.
We believe that there's been an overreaction to the close down.
Talk Radio 1550. KXEX.
I want you to think about someone that was there for you, someone that made you feel special and made a difference in your life as a child. We have hundreds of children on the waiting list, patiently waiting for a mentor. Can that be you? If so, please visit our website at bigs.org, bigs.org. Thank you.
The following statements may be disturbing or offensive for some audiences. Life begins at the very moment of conception. Every single life is priceless. Mankind is created in the very image of God. I know that the aforementioned statements did not offend you. At least I hope not. But for many in our culture today, they are sadly offensive. I believe that every life conceived should have every opportunity to reach its full potential.
I'm a busy single mom, and the flexibility of app-based driving works for my family. I could go out there and make money, and I could still see my daughter. The Sacramento politicians passed a new law making it illegal to work as independent contractors. And that's going to force the shutdown of app-based services here. We need Prop 22. 22 protects our work as independent contractors. It will save hundreds of thousands of jobs. Please vote yes on 22.
Welcome back to Personalities in the News. Truman Sigler and Steve Hempling co-hosting tonight, and we're talking about the Constitution and the redress of grievances and peaceful assembly, and also the constructive notice and the wind that we had over on the coast, and some conversation, some very interesting and good conversation from Steve from Illinois who called in. And Steve, I'm going to let you go back. We've got about 8 minutes before we go into our sign-off regimen.
Okay, well, I want to go back to Facebook. We got some more comments. Norma says, Facebook, she's asking Facebook, quit censoring my shares without any reason. Somebody help. Well, I can't do anything about it, but Facebook is a platform, and they have federal protections, and they should not be censoring anything. And if they take the federal protections away from them and make them accountable like a newspaper is, they'll be gone in a couple of years, which will probably be a good thing. But still, if the Democrats are in charge of the House, that's not going to happen. If they take the Senate, that's definitely not going to happen. But that's true of Facebook and Twitter and all these other things. They're supposed to be a platform, just like going to the town square and giving your information or putting something up on a bulletin board. It's not for them to decide what's honest and what's correct. It's because that's a matter of opinion. Because there's a lot of things that I see that I think are incorrect, but they go with it. What else we have here? Carolyn says, is it possible that we could hold a tribunal and try all these anti-American, treasonous, seditionists in one fell swoop? Well, I don't know how to do that. I mean, that would take a pretty broad range of law enforcement to do that, and we've got such a we have a poor law enforcement on the federal FBI and Justice Department that seem useless to me at this point. They're doing all these great investigations. Sounds like something's going to happen, then nothing happens. I mean, if you can't put Hillary in jail, and now Biden's probably, you can't. That what it does is breed disrespect for the law, because why should I follow the law when no one else seems to, and they're getting away with it? And which I don't agree with. I think we should follow the law, and I think the government officials should doubly follow that law or be held accountable. So that's going to happen.
Well, it's just like these unpeaceful. It's just like these unpeaceful protests that have broken up, or riots. I'm going to call it like it is. There was no authority for them to do that, and the governors of the states did not stop it, and then it escalated from there. And if you'd nipped this in the bud when they first started and put some of these people away in jail, then it would have stopped. And it's been proven when the president called in the National Guard in a few places, it was stopped and didn't come back. So if you've got a mosquito on your arm and you don't swat him, he's going to inoculate you with what you don't want.
Yeah, Portland and Seattle are just a disgrace. The city officials there and the state governor there in those states, absolutely ridiculous. It's even surprised me in California. Even the Los Angeles mayor, he called for the National Guard the first day of rioting, and so it wasn't such a problem here. And so that's kind of how it's supposed to work. Anyway, if we finish up this constructive notice real quick, there's not much to it, but it says, directing to the employee of the government official, so you are the government official. I don't really like the word official. It should be servant. Are charged with knowing both the law governing your conduct and with obeying the law. And then remember, you can be sued personally in the civil action for a violation of my constitutional rights, and a civil action does not depend upon the willingness of a district attorney to prosecute. This is really key, because very few district attorneys will take on a government person. And if you're doing this officially with your name on it and a notary public, you're asking for a reply in 10 days, asking them what authority they have to do the things they did to you, and then you can prepare to do a lawsuit. But this can go to the mayor, chief of police, county sheriff, attorney general, the state, city attorney, presiding judges, municipal courts, health department, city health officers, building departments, county council, district attorney, presiding judges, county board of supervisors. All these places take advantage of people's ignorance in the law. When you get and a lot of times what they're doing is not even within authority. I mean, even the county permit system. Permit is a permission to do something from the county. Truman's pretty familiar with that. And when they started this stuff, I mean, people would call. They probably laughed and laughed and laughed. Somebody'd call, "Hey, do I need permission to do permit to do this?" And they're looking around and say, "No, but yeah, well, sure, we'll make something up by the time you get down here." I don't know. You just keep throwing them and asking. Throw it in their court. We should be a little more affirmative. Say, "Hey, I have rights. This is my property. I'm going to do what I want." And I think for the most part, that would, if you own the property, I don't know why you need permission to do anything on the property. And there's several people fighting that as well. This is the overregulation and treating free people as basically as slaves and as pawns is, I hope that's coming to an end again. I don't want a violent civil war, but because the law, unlike when we had the war in 1776 and 19, around there,
mark.
We had the law was not on our side. Now the law is all on our side. The law is on your side, the people listening to this program, the law is on your side every way that we look at it. And the problem is the elected servants aren't following it. We have a caller?
No, Steve, we just got a signal that it's 6 minutes before the end, and I'm going we can comment for a couple right there, then I'm going to read on why is it important to vote? And then we'll do our closeout. This importance to vote is very, very critical for this election cycle. Do you agree with that, Steve?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm going to read this now, and then we can comment on it till the end of the program. For those of you who say, "I can't believe you would vote for Trump," well, folks, listen up. I'm not just voting for him. This is not a personality contest. I'm voting for the Second Amendment. I'm voting for the next Supreme Court justice. I'm voting for the Electoral College and the republic that we live in. I'm voting for police and law and order. I'm voting for the military and the veterans who fought for and died for this country. I'm voting for the flag that is always missing from the Democratic background. I'm voting for the right to speak my opinion and not be censored, as you can probably tell. I'm voting for secure borders. I'm voting for the right to praise my God without fear. I'm voting for every unborn soul the Democrats want to murder. I'm voting for freedom and the American dream. I'm voting for good and against evil. I'm not just voting for one person. I'm voting for the future of our country, and that's every one of you out there that are listening or watching. I'm voting for you because you are the boss in this country. And when you get into office, we expect you to act like it. Okay, and we're one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What are you voting for? If you happen to copy that down or listening to it on something you recorded, feel free to copy and paste, because this sets it all. I think every person who is going to be voting, no matter for what party, should get this and look at it, because it says the whole platform for the Republican Party and for us, not for the special interests, not for the Democratic Party and all their graft and corruption and stealing and so forth and so on. Steve?
Oh, I agree. That's excellent. And we do have an election coming up, and I think if the election voting was honest and fair, I think Trump will win in a landslide, along with a lot of other Republicans. And I'm not particularly defending the Republican Party. They're very weak. They follow Trump and are a little stronger under him, but Trump is in a category of his own. He's not a Republican, but he does love this country, and I agree with most of what he's done. I mean, you're not going to agree with everybody all the time. But I do want to direct you to freeenterprisesociety.com. We put up our voter guide here for California. All these crazy propositions. I mean, your property tax, everything's under attack here. No bail. If you watch what happened in and still is happening in Oregon and stuff, they're letting people out from rioting right back out on the street 2 hours later to go burn somebody else's house down. I mean, it's idiotic. I mean, I think I would be in agreement with bail reform on non-violent things, but not something like that. And I mean, it's just idiotic. So just in general, every proposition in California is a no, except for one, and that is Proposition 22, classified to, letting the drivers, like for Uber, decide whether they want to be an employee or want to be an independent contractor. That should be their choice. The government wants everybody to be an employee because they control the situation, control you, and cause more problems for you. But it causes a lot of problems for people. You don't have the freedom to make these things up. But you can go to freeenterprisesociety.com. You can download our voter guide for free. You can also get the constructive notice. They're absolutely for free. And look that over and maybe take it some paralegals and stuff that you know and help you with a complaint after that.
Okay, well, very well done, Steve. Very well put together. And your portion of the program tonight was right spot on. You carried my lack of vocal cords with me tonight, a little raspy. Okay, we're at the end of the program for tonight. If you like our format and our topics, let us know and tell others. Our time is up for this evening. Thanks to the hosts for their views and opinions. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in next week, same time and new stations. Talk Radio, KXEX 1550. Or call in 559-899-1550 and television channel 32.3. Truman Sigler and co-host Steve Hempling for Personalities in the News. And we'll talk to you next week. Good night.